Okay, can Madam Bosun go ahead now? Please unmute yourself.
Yes. Good evening, Talking Trade. Good evening, Dr. Femi Boyede. Good evening, Lady K. You are welcome to our world. I think I heard you say you are in Nigeria. Welcome. And to all the speakers, I want to say a big thank you for a well thought out session. Now, for me, I will want to agree that one, the no cash on ATM is deliberate. Ask me why. I live in Bagada in Lagos. On my major road, that is just about 2 minutes away from me, we have 7 banks, different banks. And you will get there, none will have cash. And like it's been said, POS people will have cash. So I want to say the thing is that, you see any good thing in Nigeria, you see the way Nigerians will circumvent it. I want to think that if you find out, if there's a real search into what is happening, you'll find out that most people in the banks are the people setting up those ATM people. And that's why they always have cash. Also, they too have devised a way. I was in one bank sometimes about 4 weeks ago on a near race course, and a lady was withdrawing. We waited. I was watching this lady and she kept changing cards. And it just dawned on me and I'm like, come, are you a POS person? Because you have used over 4 cards here and I'm still waiting to collect just 10,000 for my transport. So she saw that I wasn't taking it lightly with her, so she stepped aside. So even when they load just very little amount to say, let my people go, then I think when it's either the security or people within the bank too that will call these guys to say, oh, we have just loaded the ATMs, and then everything would have vanished. I actually didn't want to talk before, but Talking Trade must keep going on. Because why I don't want to say anything is that it appears the more we talk, we just raise our stress level. It appears that somebody says, if you people like, when you keep talking, you're not go tire and you will keep quiet. And then we're the ones getting angry. And that's why I didn't want to talk. But like I said, Talking Trade must keep going on. And that's why I'm talking. Now, CBN in the last 1 year, I'll soon round up. CBN in the last 1 year have rolled out series of policies, backward and forwarding policies. CBN is supposed to make cash available for Nigerians through the banks. And when we are not getting it, who is being sanctioned, like has been said, because there are no consequences? There was once a time, and I want to suggest that there must be consequences for everyone who needed cash and had to go to POS to go and pay. I think such consequences should be the banks should pay that charge. There was a time about 3 years ago, or how many years, when banks were not giving loans out to businesses. The sanction is that for any bank that didn't give it out, they were penalizing them, and then they had to now keep begging people to come and take loans. So then too, another suggestion would be Nigeria should look at it that they are in government to make life easy for people. We need to see such policies that will make life easy for people. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. And you said Talking Trade must keep going on, and you don't want to talk. But you all equally said, okay, when we complained, then they retracted, right? We have heard this before. So obviously, it's not as if we are just talking into empty. What we say here goes a long way to help with the policy in the country. So keep talking, keep making the Talking Trade relevant. The next person is Ibrahim Aruna. Thank you. Ibrahim Aruna, for those who don't know him, is one of the wonderful team behind the Talking Trade. You have the floor, Ibrahim. And anyone, whenever you are speaking and you see my picture coming up next to yours, that means please round up, okay? Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I want to commend all the speakers for doing a great job. I wanted to touch on 2 things, the POS and also the cybersecurity. And I want to give an example. I know whenever I go to Nigeria, for instance, in February, I was there for almost a month and I could experience what everybody's experiencing. But I think looking at the global standards, right? In Canada, for instance, you have POS, the banks have POS. If you want to withdraw money, there's always cash available and they have different charges. Sometimes you withdraw through your bank, you're not going to pay any charges. But if you're in a place where your bank is not available, you want to use another bank's POS, then you will pay a little bit more. Or if the merchants or business area that have, most of them have different banks POS, and you want to withdraw, say the bank charges $1.5, the merchant can add additional $1.5, which would be $3 per withdrawal, right? But when you look at Nigeria, that's not the case. So I think we need to look into that law. Also, when you look at the environment in Nigeria where people are standing, that will also create opportunity for armed robbers or people to actually be able to attack and actually steal people's money. So security is not there. You can just walk anywhere and you see POS sitting everywhere and you will see them. So I think that has to be, the CBN has to make sure the regulation is being implemented properly. And maybe we revisit it. So that way, if somebody is going to be licensed to own a POS, they have to be in a very safe environment. And also the banks, there has to be constant visit to all those POS to ensure that they have money. If they don't have, they need to punish them. They have to make sure because there has to be a fine for not living to expectation, right? The regulations have to actually to fine those banks, which is going to be a lot of money. Let's go to cybersecurity. When I saw that release, I was laughing because why would I pay anyone and the money goes to the government for protecting me? So what happened to all the money the bank is making or any business, right? The roles of the government is to provide guidance, is to provide advice, is to provide regulations. So why should government start milking individual because they want to protect us, right? It shouldn't be. So we need to ensure the banks need to protect individual, and if they lack in doing that, they need to punish them for that. They need to invoke the regulation and they have to pay fine. And that's my simple contribution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much, Dr. Naira. Please, Dr. Shaw. And after that,
thank you, Lady K. And I want to say that everything that has been said are very correct. What I would suggest, we need solution because central bank meant well. They started with RTGS, but they did not have enough infrastructure with the policy of what they call payment banking system, which generated POS and all that. They don't have attached rules and regulations to monitor the banks themselves and the POS owners. Those who own the POS, a lot of them are the bankers. It's like the bureau de change situation. A lot of central bankers were opening BDC, and so we had the problem in the BDC. This time around, the infrastructure to run the POS, the payment banking system, which is the financial inclusion, was not there. The infrastructure was not there. They just threw the policy out, and the smart boys in the banks just took over. They are the owners of the POS. And so the corruption is so enormous. I don't know where they will start to clean the stable. They need to do a review of that policy. And MFLA refused to listen to people like us. So we have this problem in our hands. I don't know what they should do, but they need a review. And okay, yeah. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Okay, so we have Adamu Kambo. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Lady K.
Thank you.
Good evening, our President Femi Oide once again. Though I would like to speak personally on these issues on personal ground, to look at the POS, the cyber levy, and the multi-tax that the first speakers spoke about. Now, I had all the conversations. It seems we are looking at this POS of 18 from the city's perspective, but we are not looking at it from the on-bank or underbank communities around us. Now, if you look at places like, let me give you an instance, like in Kano, more than 50% of the local government areas in Kano, they don't have even a bank. Now, how do you service these communities financially? Banks, obviously, they cannot open account in any or all over the place. We all know even energy costs and some other associated costs, levies and charges, as we have been talking about, are there. We look at it, one of the easiest ways in which we can reach out to such remote communities where some sort of commercial activities are happening, even if it is a weekly market or some other economic communities, let me put it that way, they need to be served. Now, who is going to serve them? And then at what cost, at whose instance? Of course, whoever rendered that service must have incurred some sort of cost. Maybe getting the cash from the banks, maybe nearest to them, to that commercial hub where they are going to serve. So that is one area that I would like us to look at. And then, yes, CBN is making a move, which we maybe we are debating on, to regulate this POS of a thing. But I would like us also look at who is generating cash. Obviously, banks are not generating cash. Banks are not printing cash. And then who is getting the cash? Where are these cash being gotten? Now, one other thing that maybe we didn't look or we didn't see, but I don't know whether it is peculiar in some places. You see, major shops or business owners whose business generated cash, most of them, they venture into this POS already. So it's a kind of a chain. They generate the cash and then they dispense at a cost. So that is one area also we need to understand, so that in the course of our discussions, let us balance these discussions and then do justice. This is going to then enable us to have an informed decision or suggestion or recommendation that we are going to make out of this meeting. And then when we talk about cash, I think one of my sisters in this call made mention about multiple policies being brought out by the CBN. Don't forget, some few months ago, we were discussing about a cashless society. Now, if really you want to mature into a cashless society, what brought cash? Some initiatives were made, like the Naira. Obviously, that is one of the best initiatives that has ever been done to address issues of this cashless of it. And then people started imbibing that. Suddenly, how it stopped, maybe is something that maybe we may listen to CBN for further explanations. So, and then on the same financial inclusion that we have been discussing about, it has some effect or impact in the cost or in the running of our communities or societies. Now, aside Lagos and some other few states, if you look at the statistics, financial inclusion in most of these states is less than 50%. We have states with financial inclusion of only 27 or 25%. Now, what do we do? Should we run a community or a society with financial illiteracy? The answer is no, because it is going to breed corruption and other economic or financial vices. Now, this initiative of financial inclusion is a good one. But in as much as our rural communities want to imbibe that financial inclusion of it, this cyber levy is going to hamper that policy, obviously. Because how much are they making in the rural places? What is this charges for? So rather than maybe opening or having a bank account, they would rather keep their cash or their money on the ground. So we can see that this is a question that we need to look at several policies, several things that are being initiated so that at the end of it all, let's have a balanced discussion on this issue. We see a scenario in which people start coming in and then they started being charged. Like this levy, assume it has started. Obviously, only God knows. Rather than having a kind of progress in the financial inclusion, we are going to have a reverse of it. Because most of these communities, they will opt out. Because I can generate only, let's say, 500 Naira in a day. Then I have to be charged because this thing is coming through electronically. So this is one area that token trade, we need to look at it. And then fellow members in this call, let's look at it so that we have a balance. When you talk of POS operating in Lagos, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Because I least expect somebody in Lagos to be transacting with cash. You have your ATM, we have various payment systems that you can adopt. But go down to our rural communities. Yes, because there are no banks. There are nothing. If cash is being mentioned in that place, somebody can understand. And then we are trying to grow. Obviously, Nigeria is growing. Now, if really we need an economic growth, then we need to go back into that cashless of it. And then the Naira and other initiatives need to come in this. So this is the way I want us to look at it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You have made a lot of contributions. You know, you made so many points that we might not get touch on. Thank you so very much. Okay, do we have any other speaker for now? Someone else you have a question, you have a contribution, yeah, I do not.
Became frozen.
Okay, but can you hear me now? Is it okay now?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I was asking if there was any other person that has any other contribution or any questions. We're about rounding up now. It's almost
yes. Yes, before you take the next contribution, or if somebody else is raising their hands, I just wanted to assure, I can't remember, is it Madam Gambo that talked about no, I think it's Madam Bosuncho Lari. I just wanted to assure you, it will surprise you that we're actually being heard and our recommendations are being adopted. I can list at least 3 outcomes of our talking trade discussions here, especially the session where we did speaking truth to power. I can tell you about 2 or 3 of those policy recommendations that government immediately adopted hook, line, and sinker. So your voices are not just going into the air, they get into the right ears also. And I wanted to talk about just a quick comment about the unbanked communities. There is a technical description with the Federal Ministry of Finance and Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment of economically disadvantaged communities. I believe that we need to draw the attention of the Central Bank of Nigeria, especially the Banking Supervision Department. Again, I don't know if I'm correct. Dr. Akonji can advise us on this. So either they are going to entrench or deepen community banking, or this is a special group of people, more or less like an endangered species. I think the country also needs to start thinking of technical solutions to address those issues. Then finally, I want to say that I think I have had it here and I've had it on several of our previous webinars. Government rolls out policies without consulting without engaging with the people that will either enjoy or suffer these policies. I think we need to amplify again the recommendation, the need for continuous engagement with relevant stakeholders, especially before introducing and implementing or enforcing policies that just come out, sometimes of the textbooks, or sometimes of the head or two or three people who think, no, this one shouldn't be, let us change it. Thank you, Lady K. Over to you.
Thank you so very much, everybody. Ibrahim Aruna, you want to say something? Okay, please, Tommy, share the script. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I just want to talk about one of the points Alhaji Aminu Gambo made in terms of the areas in the north where there are no banks available or even POS, right? And he also mentioned about dispensing cash at a cost. Yes, every business will want to make money, right? Nobody wants to run a business without making money, but there has to be a regulation. In Nigeria, you want to withdraw money. These POS people just tell you this is how much they're going to charge you, and you have no choice, right? You will be compelled to give them that money and get your cash because you need that cash, right? But there has to be a regulation where there has to be a limit in which anyone can charge, right? We need to know, right? Somebody will not just say bring 300 for so amount, which is too much. So I think that's the other thing we need to add to our conversation. And government need to look into that. Is CBN regulation has to make sure they compel. We need to know how the minimum charges the POS can charge. And if they charge more than that, there has to be a punishment for that as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I think it's been a wonderful set of conversations here. I just hope that, as we keep having these conversations, in some way, government actually listens and then implements some of these things. Because at the end of the day, if you want to ease doing business in the country, these are some of the important factors that need to be considered, so that people are not scared from doing business, and people are not also unnecessarily belabored, by policies of the government. So thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Rita. Great having you. Looking forward to having you more. Okay, any other person among our speakers, contributors? Last word?
Yeah. So I'll just say that, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for a very enlightening session. And Alhaji Adamu, thank you very much. Yes, I think the contributions he made was very significant in terms of the POS and the role that it's supposed to play. So in a state like Lagos, where we're having these issues, we shouldn't even be having it because POS is beneficial, but then it's being abused here. But what I'll just say is implementation. For the most part, Nigeria does have a lot of laws, and most of the issues that have been raised here, if I go to the POS or to the ATM and there is no cash, can these banks be sanctioned for not having cash? Yes, there's a law that says that they can be sanctioned, but who is implementing it? How or what are the steps that the regulators who are in charge are taking to enforce these laws and to implement it? So it's good to have conversations like this. We cannot all individually report some of these issues as they occur. But then when we come together like this, and I'm sure if it gets to the right policymakers and regulators, they could take it up. So like Sir Olufemi had said, I think at the last conversation, issues were raised and a couple of them have been addressed. So it won't be surprising if by the next time we have a session like this, we're hearing that CBN officials have been taking steps, or maybe some of us have even seen them at some ATMs enforcing or ensuring that there is cash there, because that's an obligation that they have, and it will be very, that'll be very helpful. We can't do it individually, so we expect that some of these issues are addressed from the regulatory point of view. Thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, on this note, I just want to say a very big thank you. First to Business Day Media for being true to the partnership and going out of their way to continue to propose and support will be the appropriate word there. Of course, I know Lady K will still mention you guys one by one, but I want to, on a general note, thank every member of the technical team. I want to appreciate the speakers, Mr. Oluseyi, who was here in person, Mrs. Peretimi Akimodun, who at short notice agreed to represent her partner, Mr. Jibrin, who has been having problems in Kenya. While this session was going on, the speaker from PwC, we got a word that he actually also had technical challenges and sent somebody. I had put on the chat box, but maybe that person joined with another name. But we acknowledge the apology in absentia, and more importantly, we couldn't have had this conversation talking to ourselves. I mean, by us, I mean the organizers, Tatrig and Business Day, we wouldn't have just been talking to ourselves. So this has been all thanks to all of you who set aside time to join us today. And I want to encourage you not to be daunted, not to allow your hope in Nigeria to wane, because under the current administration, it does take it takes patience, it takes commitment, it takes doggedness, and it takes sacrifice for us to get there. But without being a spokesperson of the federal government of Nigeria, we cannot close our eyes to the pockets of progress that is being made. Of course, the pain, some of them come with pains, but if hopefully we have in the right policies, we have sustained implementation, we definitely will see a better Nigeria. And in those policies that are not so right, by continuing to talk and get listened to, which we are committed to doing, we will not be deterred. We will continue to do this. And as we go along, we believe that your voices will make the difference. Again, I want to say thank you to everyone who has participated today. And until we come your way next time, I hand over to Lady K to do the final ceremonies. Thank you. See you next time.